Hi there, welcome back to JD Answers. Today I'll be installing the Thinkware X1000 dashcam. I'm going to show you step by step on how to install this dashcam into your vehicle. So the first thing we need to do is figure out where we're going to place this dashcam. Usually we place it right in the center of the rear view mirror, or we put it right underneath the rear view mirror since we don't really need to use it. However, with this dashcam, I want to see the screen because I'm going to be utilizing the ADAS. Now this vehicle does not have a backup camera, but I can still use this to see the rear of the vehicle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it to the left side of the rear view mirror, just right underneath the rear view mirror. That way I can see the dashcam. I'm going to place it right there. Alright, I got the dashcam in front of me and I already took off the adhesive. Alright, so I'm going to go straight to the windshield and press firmly above, making sure it's horizontally straight. Alright, going to push real firm and then I can move the dashcam back and forth when I'm done and use that tiny knob to tighten it up. But I'm not ready to tighten it up because I still got to install the wires. Alright, so I got the wires here and make sure they're loose. You want to make sure they're untangled. And this is the power cable. This is the one with the hard wire in there because that goes to the fuse box. All right, so I got the power cable in front of me and the very left side of the dashcam is the slot. So I'm just going to push that in there and then I'm ready to go straight up with the cable. All right, so what I'm doing is going straight up to the headliner. And what I'm going to do is with one hand, my left hand, I'm going to hold the wire, and my right hand, I'm simply going to push it in. Now, between the window and the headliner, there's a 1/4 of an inch to an 1/8 of an inch space in between. And all you got to do is simply get your fingers underneath and push down. And I'm simply going to slide the rest with one hand from right to left. All right, so now I'm going to continue towards the A-pillar. This is the A-pillar here. Now, some vehicles have a separation between the A-pillar and the top of the trim. Mine doesn't, so I'm going to go straight to the left. All you have to do is simply push down on the A-pillar and it'll come off. You might have to use some force, or you could always use the weather strip on the other side to go down with the wire. All right, so mine came off easy, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this to insert the wire underneath the A-pillar. Now, if you're not sure on how to take off the A-pillar, you could always go to YouTube, put in your car information, how to remove the window shield pillars. And most of the time, it's just an easy snap. That's all it is. It has clips. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push the wire to the other side, towards the outside of the door, and let it hang there. Because remember, we still need to go back and insert the rear cable wire. And then when I'm done, I'm simply just going to push it up. All right, I got the rear camera in front of me and all I got to do now is insert the wire to the dash cam. And this is the end I'm going to be using. Again, just remember to untangle all the wire from the dash cam. And we're just going to go the same route. I'm going to route the wire from the dash cam all the way to the A-pillar. So that part I'm going to do the same. Now to the right of the dash cam is the micro USB slot and that's where the cable is going to go into. So let me try to get that with one hand. Put it in there and then I'm just going to go all the way to the A-pillar like I did the power cable. Again, I'm simply just going to tuck it underneath the headliner. Now when you're at the edge of the A-pillar, you want to make sure the wires go all the way underneath the headliner to the driver's side door. Now from this point, since I got the wires already routed to where I need to, what I could do now is simply move the dash cam where I need it and then tighten it up with the tightening knob. Because all the cables are done and all we got to do now is finish routing the wires. Okay, now I got both cables here. I got the power cable and I got the rear camera cable. And what I'm going to do is move both cables to the outside of the driver's side door. Okay, now here's a better look of exactly what I'm doing. Now I got the rear cable, which is the one with the yellow label on it. I'm going to grab all the cable from the rear camera and I'm simply just going to push it inside the car. Now just make sure you got the rear cable, again, the one with the yellow label. That one's going to the back. Now this cable with the hard wire in there that goes to the fuse box is going to go straight down to the fuse box. And that one's going to go that way. So let me just start dropping that wire inside the A-pillar trim. All right, I'm just going to put it in and then I'm going to pinch it in at the end. Right there is a little tighter so the wire stays in there. So that's holding the wire for me. All right, just be careful on these clips. You don't want to put the wire anywhere next to those clips, because when you try to reinstall your trim, it's going to get in the way. Let me get you a closer look of the clips. You see that clip right there? That's the one I'm talking about. So you make sure the wires are clear from there. That way I could push it right back in there with no problem. All right, so now I got the rear cable. I'm going to set it on top of the trim, and you can see how I did it there. It's just laying on top of there, and that's all I want to do. And now I could just go back and insert the trim back into where it needs to go. Just remember to move the wires away from the clips. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. All right, I'm done with that. So, but this part I left loose. We got to continue working the rear cable to the back. This part's done, so now it's time to go back in there. And you can see where I inserted the trim. This part is loose. That part is in there. So let's get back in there and let's move that wire to the back. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and continue with the power cable to the fuse box. I'm simply going to tuck the wire underneath the trim. If that's too tight of an area, you can remove the weather strip and push the wire inside there and then put the weather strip back. Now from this point, you're going to move the wire inside the cabin with utilizing the kick plate. Now normally you could route the wire on top of the kick plate underneath the dashboard. Mine's a little bit different. I can move the bottom trim and the kick plate and it'll come off, and I could just simply tuck in the wire that way. In preparing your wires, you got two wires that you need to install into your fuse box. There is a black one, but this is a ground, and this is going to go to a bolt in your fuse box. Now for these two, the red is the constant and the yellow is your accessory. And according to the manual, you are to wrap these around the fuse that you want to install this in your fuse box. There's a different way of doing that, and this is by using fuse tabs. You could buy these fuse tabs in multi-packs or the fuse style that you need. In my vehicle, this is the fuse that I need, so I got to get the fuse tab that matches it. These are the fuse tabs that I need. Let me show you how these work and how to install them. So you got your both wires, and what you do is you just clip these two wires together. They're already prepared for you, so all you got to do is crimp them together. And that way, this end is going to go into your fuse box, or depending on the type of fuse that you need. Now you see there's two openings. This is where it goes into the fuse slot itself. And then you got a slot open, and you got another one. Now the fuse that you received with your fuse tabs will go into this slot here. All right, and you can see where I have it in there. You see it on the outside. Now the fuse that you take out of your fuse box to insert this in, you put it on that side right there. And this creates the circuit that you need, either a constant or a switch circuit. Now on this side here, this is where you got the hot side of your fuse that you're going to take out. And there's two prongs. One side has power and the other side doesn't. The side that has the power, you put this side in. And this is better than where I wanted you just to wrap this around one prong and put it in there. So to me, this is an easier way to do it. All right, so here we have our fuse tab, and you can see the open end. And then we have our wire for the accessory wire that we need to clip in there. So what you do is simply put in the wire that you need to crimp, and then you put some pressure on this part, and it creates one circuit. And then you just want to repeat the process that you just did. And then you just squeeze down and you're done. The power cable for the dash cam is a hard wire, which means it goes inside the fuse box. Now normally the fuse boxes are here on the side, or sometimes on the passenger side there. And right here, which this is an accessory outlet here just to throw stuff in there. But behind there, you can take this out, is the fuse box. So to make sure we get room and we route the wires, we have to take down this right here, this bottom of the dashboard. So I'm going to do that. I'm not sure how your car is. More than likely, you don't have to do this extra step. But if you do, now you know where the fuse box is if you don't find it. So let me take this part off and we'll get to the fuse box. All right, for this next step, you're going to need a circuit tester, which has a point on one end, a bulb on the other side. And what you do is you ground this end here. And what you do is you open up the teeth of this and you ground it to there. You put it there. And usually the ground is the bolt for the fuse box. And this is what you're going to use to test your fuses. All right, now we're ready to get into the fuse box. So what you do here is you test the fuses, which one has a constant fuse or a switch fuse. And the way you do that is you get your circuit tester and you ground it. Now once you ground it, you could go ahead and test one side of the fuse, just the way I'm doing it right here. You see how I put it in the terminal and the light turns on. That means there's power coming to this fuse. Now you test this with the car on or off. When you test it with the car on, you're testing for a constant fuse. When the car is off, you'll test it again to ensure that there is no power going into that fuse, because that is called a switch fuse. So what a constant fuse is a fuse that is consistently getting power from the battery. No matter if the car is off or on, it's getting power from the battery. Now a switch fuse is a fuse that gets power from the battery when the car is on. When you turn off your car, then the fuse is not getting any more power. That is a switch fuse. And the reason we use a switch fuse in a hardwire kit is when the car turns off, it activates the parking mode. So that function of the dash cam will start working because it's getting constant power from the battery with their constant fuse, but the switch fuse is turning off or on the parking monitoring. You could skip the switch fuse. However, it's going to be recording 24 hours a day. So if there's an incident that happens at 2 a.m. in the morning and you realize this at 9 a.m., well, 7 hours has passed by and that incident is probably been erased already by loop recording. That's why parking mode is the best way to go. All right. So what you want to do is look at your fuse box and see which fuses you could use. My recommendation is stay away anything that starts the vehicle or uses airbags. That is my recommendation. The vehicle is yours. You could do whatever you want. So I took a look at my schematic because I've done this several times and I found two fuses that works. One fuse will work as a constant fuse and the other fuse will work as a switch fuse. For a constant fuse, I'm going to use my fog lights because that's a 15 amp fuse. I don't recommend using anything larger than a 15 amp. For my switch fuse, I'm going to use a cigarette lighter fuse because that's the power socket I use to charge my phone. And when the car turns off, the charging turns off because the power socket doesn't get any more power. So those are the two I'm going to use. And what you do is you test the fuse. Remember, we're testing only one side of the fuse. All right, so for the constant circuit, the fog light, this one's it. I'm testing one side. I want the circuit tester light to turn on. So there you go. The light turns on. That means it's on. So your switch fuse, the car is off. And if you test it, the no light should be on. Then what you want to do, which I'm going to do right now, is start your vehicle. While the vehicle is on, test that same fuse. If the fuse is on, that means that is a switch fuse. Turn off your vehicle and test it again. There should be no power. If there is no power, that means you got the right one. That is your switch fuse. Then what you want to do for each of the fuses, the constant fuse and the switch fuse, you want to get your fuse tap with the wire that says BAT for battery. And then what you want to do is take off the fuse that you took out of the fuse box, put it into the empty slot of the fuse tap, which is the one closest to the terminals. And the next one, you want to use the wire that says ACC. Again, you take the fuse out, which is the cigarette fuse, and you're going to insert that into your fuse tap. Now, before you install your fuse taps, you got to see which side of the fuse slot is getting power. Is it the left side or right side? And the way you do that is you get your circuit tester light and you test each side. I'm going to start with the right side of the constant fuse. And when I test it, I'm going to put the circuit tester light inside there, and you can see the light turning on. That means the right side is getting power. I'm going to test the left side. There is no power. Going back to the right, there's power. So I'm going to do the same thing with the switch circuit. But before I do that, I got to turn the vehicle on to ensure it's getting power to that fuse. All right, I'm ready. I'm going to go ahead and put the circuit tester on the right side, and you can see the light turning on. I'm going to put it to the left side, no light. Right side, the light turns on. So for both of these, the right side of the fuse slot has the power. All right, so I got my fuse tap, and you see both fuses inside. And what you want to do is you want to put the one with the power to the outside, because you see the cable comes in. That means the power comes in and it goes to the outside terminal. That's the side you want to put into the fuse slot with the power. Now, if the other side had power, you would have to turn it upside down to ensure that the correct side of the fuse slot has power. Mine doesn't do that. It's on the right side. It's going right side up. So let me go ahead and insert it. And this one's for the constant fuse. Now this one says ACC. This is the accessory one. So this one's going to the switch fuse. So again, I'm going to repeat the process and just simply insert it into the fuse slot. All right, that is done. So both fuse taps are in. Now we got to work with is the ground wire. So that's what we're going to work on next. Now for the ground wire, I'm going to use the same bolt that I use for the circuit light tester to ground it, because I know this is grounded and it works. So I'm going to loosen up this bolt so I could insert the terminal in there. All right, now that it's loose, I'm going to get the ground wire terminals inserted underneath the bolt. Then I'm going to get my socket wrench. I'm going to hold down the wire with one hand and tighten it up with the other hand. All right, that's done. All I got to do is tuck in the wires, keep them away from the opening of the fuse box. And then the bottom here, this kick plate. Behind the kick plate is where I'm going to put all the slack of the wire. So let me go ahead and do that, and then I'll close up everything. All I got to do now is go ahead and reinstall the bottom of the dashboard, put everything where it belongs. Then we can continue with the rear camera installation. Okay, so we notice this is loose. So what we need to do is get the wire on top of this B pillar and route it back. And that's all you got to do. Don't put it too tight. Leave a little slack, just in case you need to do some movement later. And you simply just push down on the trim and push the wire in at the same time. All I'm going to do is go ahead and connect that together. All right, I'm going to continue routing the wire all the way to the C pillar. All right, I'm at the C pillar. You notice how this came out. So this is good because we're going to go to the rear window and we want the wire on top of there. And what's also good about that is all this slack it gave us, it's going to go in here. We're going to put all the slack in there. Let's go ahead and connect our rear camera. Okay, so from this part, we could go ahead and connect our camera. But see this line right here? This is the defroster. All these lines are the defroster. So if I put the camera in the middle, which is a good point, this is going to be the middle of the footage. So I'm going to move it a little bit to the left, and that way this line is not in the middle. Because if I need to get a license plate, well, this line is going to be in the way. So I'm going to move it here. All right, I got the rear camera. Just make sure you take out the protective lens, and I'm going to go ahead and mount it. All right, so we're at the rear camera again. So what I did is I flipped the wire to where the wire for the dash cam is going towards the passenger side. Then I tucked in the wire underneath the headliner. So that's the way to do it. All right, now let's continue with the C pillar. All right, so I'm just gonna route the wire to the C pillar exactly the way we did in the front. All right, got the wire in there. Next is to put all the slack behind the C pillar. And if you're not sure how to remove the C pillar, again, just Go to YouTube, put your car information, window sill pillars, and it'll give you exactly what you need. And if you don't have a video, then you could create one yourself, and don't forget to give them a thumbs up for helping you. So for this C-pillar, it just simply comes out and there's clips, which I'll put there later. All right, I put all the slack of the wire behind here, and just remember the clips, don't put no wires close to it, just move them to the middle, wherever you need to move them. That way you can snap this back. All right, we're all done. All we gotta do is start it up. All right, so I'm gonna start up the vehicle and the dash cam's gonna turn on. All right, it's turning on and there you go, it's working. The main screen is the front camera and you can see everything fine there. And then the picture-in-picture is the rear camera. Let me get you a closer look at that. But I don't know if you noticed this, but everything is upside down. So I probably installed the rear camera upside down. So let me go ahead and fix that. All right, so we're at the rear camera again. So what I did is I flipped the wire to where the wire for the dash cam is going towards the passenger side. Then I tucked in the wire underneath the headliner. So that's the way to do it. All right, so now we're back at the dash cam and I got your closer look again. And now you can see the picture-in-picture has the view right side up. So now we're done. Everything's installed correctly. No wires are showing. So if this video was helpful for you, please like this video because it really helps the channel and I appreciate that from you. If you are interested in this product, I'll put links in the description down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and select all notifications for all upcoming videos. Because I also have the review of this dash cam, the menu review of this dash cam, and I'll show you step by step on how to set the settings, and I also have the unboxing of this dash cam. And I also got more videos of this dash cam coming out soon. I'm also going to show you a step by step on how to set the ADAS system and how it works. And I also got another video coming out of the parking mode functions and how to use them. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.